I've heard my fair share of lame stories. I've read some boring books, talked with boring people. But the one person I've never heard a single uninteresting story from is my dad. When we chat, there's always something new I learn from him, and something new about myself too. That's why I chose him for my interview. My dad is the person I admire in my life. I guess I'll change out of these clothes and go talk to him. So, for my project, I chose to interview my dad. He always has good stories to tell, and I think that's a good inspiration. So, I'll hand it off to him for my first question. How would you say your upbringing is different from mine, and what aspects of it are different?
Well, I think the biggest aspect is the actual technology that's available and how different it has made life in general. I mean, when I was your age, there was not a cell phone. That's a pretty big difference. And everything we did was based on having to make a plan in advance. You'd have to say, well, I'll be ready at 4 o'clock, and you'd be waiting for your friend at 4 o'clock. You couldn't talk 3 different times. You couldn't reach out during the day 15 times. Just didn't exist. So that's, I think, the biggest difference in upbringing is the use of technology.
Thanks for that. Next question. Who was your biggest inspiration growing up?
My biggest inspiration growing up before Jenna was on the Wheaties box.
On the Wheaties box?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
What does that mean?
Oh, Jenna was, everybody wanted to be so athletic, and he was on the Wheaties box. It was like a big deal. So biggest inspiration growing up, I had many different role models. First, my father was a big inspiration because he could do most all trades. He wanted to be used to be called a jack of all trades, which you know a little bit about a lot of things. But then I ended up having a pretty important friend named John Como, who became an Eagle Scout, and he was a pretty big inspiration because the kid just kept doing so many things. He was just smart. He knew how to do so many things. He was nice to people, and we did a lot of great things together. So he was a pretty big inspiration. I wanted to gain Eagle, but I didn't make it. And then I guess from there I had other inspirations, like at college, met some people that I really admired that would help me out. I had Dr. Kidd at community college musically. He was fantastic. He taught us a lot. I had a lot of different inspiration growing up.
I was gonna ask, on the topic of music, like your teacher just now, you were in your school's concert band for a while, right? Playing bass clarinet and the other instruments, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
So how has that affected your relevant modern life? How have you brought that musical experience with you today?
Well, just being an important member of a group, I mean, everybody matters in band. Every note matters. And to be part of a team, part of that group, just like sports, you understand the importance of each team member. Each band member had an important part, even if it was a couple of notes. So I think that is important for everybody. I think they should do more music in school, but I'm thankful that you guys have such a good program.
Yeah. For my fourth question, I want to ask, what are some of your best childhood experiences? And childhood, I think in this case could count as, actual childhood, like maybe 3 to 10 years old, or it could maybe be adolescence. Whatever you want to talk about.
Best childhood experiences. Well, I was fortunate to have attended many camps. I was a camp kid. I loved camp of all kinds. YMCA, Boy Scout camp, local summer camp stuff. I think best childhood experiences started with scouting. Then I went into, we had a youth center in Harwich, which we were so lucky to have. these two people, Mike and Karen, and they took us everywhere. We went to New Hampshire, Maine, skiing, hiking, all kinds of trips. We went to Washington, D.C., where he physically threw me out of the van, but that's a different story. We don't have that. It was still a great experience because I got really lucky when I had a relative visit me. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what other the best experiences. I guess going to Virginia with the National Jamboree, there was 200,000 people there, 100,000 scouts, and another 100,000 spectators. And Nancy Reagan showed up with a helicopter. She was starting her anti-drug campaign, Say No to Drugs, and she showed up with a helicopter. That was a pretty big deal. And then the Beach Boys and the Oak Ridge Boys, a couple of groups. I don't know if you're aware of. You've heard of the Beach Boys?
Yeah.
And Elvira, you know Elvira?
Yeah.
That's well,
I've heard of.
Oak Ridge Boys. Anyway,
Okay.
all good experiences. Yeah, those are the highlights, I guess.
All right. So, lastly, I'd like to ask, just to close off, what are your biggest aspirations right now? What would you like to accomplish in the future? And also, branching off of that, are they different from how they were like 10, 20 years ago, maybe?
Biggest goal is to watch both of you get to college and make yourself a good startup, good life. Definitely has changed from worrying about my own self, getting through school and military and all that stuff. So over time, each challenge comes along and you say, oh, I got to make a new goal, So I think it has changed drastically. Biggest aspiration now is to slowly get into a different business that I'm working on. I think that'll be much better for providing and maybe a little less hard work. I mean, I'm not afraid of hard work, but
Yeah.
So that should be good. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, definitely different. I mean, when you're a teenager and you're trying to look at the next month and you're trying to look at the next year, you don't often think 20 years in advance. But once you get 20 years older, you start saying, oh, what is my next 10 years going to be like? So right now, when you're in the 50s, you start thinking, ooh, how am I looking towards retirement? When will I be able to retire? A lot different than when you're in high school and you're just trying to get out of high school.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, everybody goes through that.
For sure. I think right now I'm trying to focus on like getting to college, getting like just sorting out my own everything. You know, I want a good job in the future. I want the best for myself mostly, but yeah, I think definitely at some point it'll be more about like providing for others when I can provide for myself, right?
Exactly. That's the whole golden rule. Is you have to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. It's not selfish. Many people are, as you know. But yeah, that's something you learn with age.
All right, thank you so much. I think that's everything I wanted to ask.
That wasn't too bad.
Any questions?
Which class is this for?
This is for Digital Media 2 with Steve Cass.
Oh yeah, yes, we heard a lot about that guy.
Okay. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.